and so that's why I wanted to make sure that everyone understood why we want to do what we want to do. Do we have to do absolutely everything in this presentation? No, we don't. But we're trying to think about what will get us into the next decade. Right now, our technology is about 15 years behind, and we just need to move it up some. As you know, today when the last song, it froze. The computer is 11 years old. I mean, it's just one of those things that happens. It was planned. Okay, so, yeah. Okay, so first of all, we have some overall objectives. Then we're going to go over the purpose. We've got example in your. I'm going to go word for word in this. Not word for word, but section by section in here. And then we're going to talk about all the different phases. We're going to go through a split tracks demo and explain what that is. So, overall objectives. Number one, we want to add some more sound and video equipment. Our back area is limited. We cannot fit any more pieces of technology inside of that box if we had to. So that's one of the other reasons it's very cumbersome to put all of that into one area. At this very moment, our best suggestion that we have come up with is to move that equipment upstairs, and I'll get to that here. Second point is we want to remove the center screen projector and move to 2 projectors on each side, and we'll get to that here. So the reason we want to do that is this center screen is a 4x3 screen. The screens on the outside are 16 by 9. Everyone has a 16 by 9 screen in their house now, and they don't have the 4x3s. Do you understand what I'm saying? The 4x3s are the old-fashioned TVs. So a lot of the slides that we have are fit to sit on this. The new ones, they work on 16 by 9. So everything is squeezed and pushed, and it's not formatted correctly. So that's another reason for going to the 16 by 9. We want to change from a program from MediaShout. MediaShout's extremely old. It's outdated to a program called ProPresenter. And that's just the software that makes everything run that you're seeing. We wanted to, eventually we want to get to a dedicated stream time, which I'm going to go into that a little bit more. And we want to utilize split track media with slides geared more toward our congregation singing. And we want to install a new soundboard. Our soundboard is it's old and it's analog. So we've broken this out into 12 different phases. There's plenty of text here for you to take home, for you to absorb and read through. But basically, our stuff is extremely outdated, like what I said before. It lacks cleanliness. If you come in, lots of times there's papers over here, there's microphones sitting up here on the top, there's programs from years. It's just one of those things that a horizontal surface collects stuff. Everyone has a horizontal surface in their house. This is no different. This is the horizontal surface of our congregation. There is another horizontal surface behind this pulpit. If anybody's looked behind it, there's a bunch of trash in there. So, so there are other horizontal surfaces. It's just this one is, it's right there. We believe that this tech area here negatively impacts this room, just from a site perspective. But that's not the main reason why we want to move it. We have broken this down into 12 phases. If you've been in this congregation long enough, you will remember when the soundboard used to be behind that door, and no one ever did anything unless they pressed the little play button to play special music on a tape recorder. So that's where it started out when I was here. And then it moved to this back corner. It moved from that back corner upstairs. There used to be an opening here where this other projector screen is. And then it moved back down when they redid this sanctuary. It moved back down into this area. Ideally, let me put this very clearly, a soundboard should not be upstairs. However, that said, given our layout of this room, we can't figure out another place to put it, that it will not We need more space. And we could just put like a bigger board back there, you know, like a bigger table, but that's a horizontal surface, and that's just going to collect more stuff. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. We can't even close that lid anymore and make it look nice when nobody's here because there's too many monitors and switches and things like that in there. So the only thing that we have come up with is to actually put that upstairs. So that brings me to the location. In this classroom up here, right now, when they redid this sanctuary, they closed up that hole, and they have a projector that aims back toward the back, so that way people that are up on stage can see what's going up on the screen, which that projector has been starting to go out, but we'll get to that. What we are proposing at this very moment is to open up on this side over here a predetermined amount, somewhere between probably 6 and 12-foot window that we'll be able to look down on here. In most churches, even though a soundboard is not great to have upstairs because the sound bounces, and so you can't necessarily hear what the congregation is hearing, but I would say in a majority of the churches in Syracuse alone have almost all of their sound equipment upstairs. So that's why one of the other reasons we want to get that up there. That room currently holds decorations. If anybody's been in there, it's got carpet from 1942. And I think it was last vacuumed in 1950. So there's that. Yeah, okay, whatever. So there are decorations up there. I believe that what we should do is probably invest in some shelving for the decorations. There's lots of decorations that you see up here. That's the permanent home for those at this very moment. So we kind of have a layout on this picture here of kind of what we're thinking that room will look like. This is just a 3D rendering. Don't shoot the messenger nor the software that we use to create it. Weston spent like 2 hours doing that. But that's kind of what we're thinking that room would look like. We're going to keep the carpet from 1942, but we're going to build a little platform in there. I'll get to that. Volunteers. This is one of the biggest things. If my family is not here, and if Cindy is not here, we really don't have anybody else to run this equipment. That's a problem. It's a problem because we as a congregation have a large age gap. We have a big gap between my 16-year-old and Morgan back here, and that's right. And we have a big gap between, and then all the way up to Donna. So we obviously have to find some new members in that group. But until we do, we have got to come up with some people to help. Can this be intimidating? Yes. Are there lots of knobs and levers? Yes. But you have to not worry about that stuff. Each and every one of us has a smartphone in their pocket, and we have figured out, except for one person back here, he's trying, I guess. Joe even has a smartphone, so, well, that's all right. That's all right. So we're going to try to simplify by adding more technology to our process. For example, one of the things that's in this proposal is back where these light switches are, we plan on having 2 control boxes. Those control boxes, we're going to call them, all simple purposes, dumb buttons. And what that's going to allow us to be able to do is you're going to be able to walk in here and turn on the soundboard by a click of a button that will activate a couple of the microphones and the piano, things like that, along with the amplifier that sits back in this back corner. And it will also turn on, we have different color lightings, and we have some stage lighting. So you'll be able to push a button back there and activate that stuff without doing anything with all the tech. So that way, if for some odd reason I'm not here or my kids are not here, or we don't have somebody that can do that, you can push a button and the microphones will be active. So without having to do anything special. So that technology really doesn't cost us a lot, and we figured that would be smart to put into this. So now if you want to run something over the projector screens, that's going to require somebody to walk upstairs and actually do that. But we'll get to that stage. So we went through the basics. Live stream time and audio quality. Who has seen one of our live streams online? Okay, maybe not necessarily live, but you've seen it recorded. Okay, what if I told you that between the live service we have between 2 and 5 viewers simultaneously watching that, but after a week there's been 100 people that have seen that? That is more people than we have sitting in this congregation. So we need to do something about that. We have to target them. We have to reach them. Right now, the way that the live stream was set up is we record and live stream only the sermon. Okay? What time does Jeopardy come on, Bob? What time's Jeopardy come on? 7 o'clock. What time does the Syracuse Church of God live stream start? What? About 10 till, sometimes 5 till, sometimes 10 after, sometimes, who knows? So if we want those people to be able to turn that on, how will they know when? You can't. You have to be able to have a specific time that live stream starts. That is more of an overall thing that we're trying to accomplish. We're not going to accomplish that right out of the gate, but we may have to rearrange how we do some of the worship order, because we don't want to broadcast our praises and, the prayer concerns. That's not what we want to do. But we also need to make sure that we can live stream the important parts of our service so other people can join. So, that said, the audio quality on our live stream is terrible. You may have seen comments where some people say, hey, turn it up, turn it down. We have one soundboard. If we turn it up, these things turn up. If it's too loud in here, we have to turn it down, which means on our live stream, it gets turned down. We can't have 2 different outputs of our microphones. We have one output. And so that is why we have to kind of tweak it sometimes. If somebody's really talking a little bit loud or a little bit quiet, we have to kind of mess with that. Our new soundboard will allow us to be able to increase that audio for that recording. So we're going to need to get to a new one. There's been several people talk about our lights blinking. Who's seen the lights blink? Okay. Who knows what LED bulbs are? You've heard of LED bulbs, right? How about the old bulbs, the ones that get super hot? Okay. Our system is capable of the old bulbs, not the new bulbs. So what Stu and I have been doing is little by little we've been changing all the bulbs back to the old style bulbs because the LED bulbs will not work with these systems. Now, that said, I did not include that fixture replacement. Those are these little boxes. See that silver box up there? That's what controls those. There's a couple of them, and there's many more up in the attic, up by the mice. I did not put that into this proposal because what we've decided is it will work just fine if we change it back over to non-LED bulbs. We can still get them at the hardware store at this very moment. We're not trying to save energy because these bulbs are only active for about 90 minutes a week. So it's not like we're trying to really, if these were on all the time, that would be a totally different thing. But in fact, these black light fixtures, those are non-LED bulbs. That's why they don't flash. They're just always on. These back ones underneath here, underneath this, the Sunday school classrooms upstairs, those are all LED bulbs. So that's why they flash. So we are in the process of fixing that little by little as we just buy more bulbs. Okay, so we can change out these to regular, new kind. They are $150 a piece, and we have 8 of them in the building. So that is something that can be done at any point in time if we want to do that. So that explains the light blinking. Music selections. Our music selection for our church is kind of wishy-washy. It doesn't necessarily jibe with our congregation. And the reason for that is a lot of the songs that we have been illegally downloaded from YouTube. Okay? We're a congregation, and we have illegally downloaded all of our music that we play. Okay? The other thing about the music that we play in our congregation is who has noticed when there has been a lead vocal that just goes on its own little tangent on little song command, And it kind of makes us like, well, who are we supposed to sing with? Are we supposed to sing with this lead? So the reason why is we're utilizing music that's been mixed for radio. We're not using music that we should be singing along with in a congregation. So we would like to go to some technology called split tracks. Back in the old days, there was 8-track players, right? You've heard of 8-track players? Okay, you've heard of the left channel and the right channel. You've heard of that, right? So the new type of music that I would say 95% of congregations are using today is utilizing what's called split tracks. And what split tracks are is for one song, there may be 16 channels of music. One channel is drums. Another channel is bass guitar. Another channel is the lead vocals. Another channel is background vocals. And we're able to reduce and play what would actually sound good for that song for our congregation. It also allows us to be able to change the key that the music's being played in. So some of the songs that we play up here, they're too high. We can't sing that high. Well, it's because it was made to be sung on a radio. It wasn't made to be sung with the congregation. So I figured what the best thing to do would be is to give you a demonstration of what, I know that the font's kind of small on this, but that's not necessarily what's crucial, is the fact that you can hear this song, and the only song we could find for free in this was a Christmas song, so you're going to get that. So Weston, play it like it should be heard, and then we'll, with all the channels. Let me turn that whole volume up. Now, if you can see those bars, that's all the different musical instruments that are playing. We then have the ability, you can see that there's a lead intro. This is not a song that we would sing in the congregation, but it just gives you an idea of what the audio is here. We will be able to turn off the background or the backup vocalist, and we'll be able to turn off the primary vocal, along with being able to turn off the drums. So let's, we'll let them start singing here in just a few seconds. You can kind of see that line that's coming up. So we've sung things like this song before, right? So Weston, go ahead and get rid of the drums. And ransom captive So now there's no more drums. So bring the drums back up. It's almost just like having a live mix. Now let's go ahead and get rid of the primary vocal. Now that's just the backup vocals. So that would be a prime example of somebody singing up here. We could actually be the backup vocals, or we could be the primary vocals. We can do either one. Go ahead and turn the vocals back on and get rid of the Weston, can you go ahead again? Now, let's just go ahead and get rid of all the music except for the vocals. Our spirits by thine advent here. So now we have the ability, if we wanted to, Terry, for example, could be playing the piano right now. So what it is, this is, does everybody get a basic idea of what the split tracks are used for? So right now we practice, you can go ahead and shut this off, Weston. So we, right now we practice on Sunday mornings for the service that we're about to do. It's not what we should be doing. We should be practicing way before that. What I'm proposing is that we're going to practice on Wednesday nights after they are done with things going on already in the church. That way there's more time for that to be done. What's that? Oh, before. Okay, that's right. Whatever. Anyway. Not on Sunday mornings. What that allows us to be able to do is be able to fine-tune that song for the group that's singing and the speed of which they want to sing that song. That way it's all customized for that and how we can sing it. Yeah. Can you show them in the key? And
so we have to do that in a different program.
yep.
So I can't really do that right now.
But yes, we can do that. It's just not in the player that we have right now for that. But yes, you can play in different keys. So now that said, we have a library of like maybe a couple hundred songs, possibly. So split tracks through a multitracks.com subscription. There are 25,000 songs we can choose from. Now we can do that one of two different ways. We can buy each song, which is what we would probably suggest doing because a lot of the songs that we sing are the same ones over and over and over again. Each song is about $30. We buy that song and then we own that song. And I said, we own that song. It's legal for us to play that, okay? The other option is we can use a subscription model and we pay, I don't remember what it is, it's like $500 a year to be able to use any of them that we want. So there's two different options to go with there. We just have to do the math. So, okay. All right. So we got, there is 25,000 different songs that we can choose from. Lots of different options for us to be able to choose music. But that said, that's something else that we need help with. We need help picking songs. We need help with people singing songs. At this very moment, we have no songs picked out for next Sunday. None. So it is what it is. It helps for us to be able to prepare for that like before the Sunday. So sometimes when we come in here, we're still trying to prep for songs that were just chosen. So we need more time to be able to choose those songs, and we need some volunteers to help with that. So if there's somebody out there, that would be super, super helpful. I'm going to break down into the phases because the dollar amount on this is quite large for our congregation. As far as a tech budget goes, it's very, very small. But for us, it's large. We have broken this down into phases. The first phase that we're going to go with is we need to replace the main primary PC. We have purchased the PC already. We just have to purchase the graphics card for it. It takes a very powerful. We will spend almost just as much money on the graphics card as we will on the computer. So that's one of the things. We've got the computer. Weston's been setting that up. We just have to be able to get the graphics card for it. So, no, the graphics card is, every computer comes with an onboard ability to hook up to a monitor. The graphics card will be able to hook up to like 4 or 5 different devices and play simultaneously. And it basically is what, did you see where it hung up today on that last song? The graphics card can't process. It had moving video, and it wasn't powerful enough to play that and the music at the same time. So it was struggling, and that's what that graphics card does. So, phase 2 is we would like to replace the amplifier. Up in this corner back here is the amplifier. We have no idea why they put that up there. That's not where you would traditionally put an amplifier, but there's one sitting on the floor. Currently, there are 4 channels, and what a 4-channel system is that is the number of speakers that you can do for that, basically. I guess that's the best way to describe it. One of the channels is for this side of the monitors, these speakers that are up on the stage. There's one for that, there's one for this, and there's one for that back there. One channel has already failed. We have another channel that's failing. We just can't figure out which channel it is. Every time I try to move things around, I can get it to work again, and I don't know why. So it needs to be replaced. That process is not that expensive. It's about $400, and we have that broken down. The other thing that we want to do is if, we go through this, we'd like to open up the window up top and rearrange some of these sound panels because it's going to have some, the echo will change in this room a little bit. Phase 3, at a cost of $1,100. Now, I will specify these prices, when we first put this thing together and what they are today, have already changed. Do not stick us to these prices. We will try. But as you know, when you go to the grocery store, a gallon of milk is no longer a gallon of milk cost that it was just a couple weeks ago.
I do want to stress, the information that's on the packet is more accurate than the slides.
Yeah.
I made adjustments yesterday, and I tried to adjust some of the slides.
Okay. So so we're at the phase 3. We want to raise the floor in that tech room where we're going to have that equipment. That's some plywood. That's some 2x4 construction type stuff. So that way we can get up a little bit higher, so we can look down on the congregation. Because if you were sitting at the regular, if you were sitting in a chair, you would not be able to look down on the congregation. So that's why we want to build that up into that room. The other thing that we would do is we're going to build a desk. It doesn't have to be a fancy desk because the number of people that are going to see that is not that great. We would suggest going to Menards and buying one of those return countertops that they tell you that you can't return. So that's what we would probably suggest in that aspect. We're going to install some booth TVs so we can have one TV that shows what our live stream is doing. We have one TV that's showing what is up on our projector screens that are there. We need to build a rack where we can rack mount all of our equipment because we don't have a rack currently, and that's in that picture. Phase 4. Install the left and right screens. This is an estimate. These blue tape, that's an estimate of what we think screen-wise and size would do for our congregation. Just to give you an idea that those each are 119 inches. That's what those are. When I talked to Stu, we were talking about this maybe a month and a half ago before they left, and he was talking, well, what if we just put TVs there? So that's 119 inch. Could you imagine if we put a 65 inch there? It would look very, very small. Too small for words, too small for anything. So that's why we need to stick with the projector screen style. And we feel like this kind of fits. Now, Weston, can you blank this screen and roll up the projector screen real quick?
Will the projector screen in the middle be gone?
So that said, we don't know what's underneath that white box that's up there. We don't know if it's just missing drywall. I don't know. Can we remove it? Yes. We may have to update that. Weston, can you turn on the light with the cross, please? We don't know. So this is what a normal congregation service would then look like. Is you would definitely have the cross exposed, which I believe looks better during worship anyway. It will also make our live stream and our recording better because then we have a light behind, which right now we don't have a light, so there's a lot of overcast and shadows and things like that. So you can see everybody does like it when it's up here, but you can't have music and you can't have it just doesn't work. The two don't work together. So that's why we were suggesting to put on left and the right screen. Just FYI, just putting that blue tape up there took Weston and I almost 3 hours yesterday. So it takes a lot to get things evened out. Hanging the projectors there, the screens themselves will take even more time than that to permanently put those things there. So those screens will cost almost more than the projectors cost. You do not go cheap on your screens. I know some of you might go to Amazon and like, well, 119-inch screen, I can get that for $99 on Amazon. Yes, you can, and you get what you pay for. It will have creases in it. It will look terrible, absolutely terrible. Reflective, yes. You're exactly right. So each screen is going to cost us about $1,100 or so. The phase 5, I would probably do phase 4 and 5 together, but that's going to be kind of up to what we want to do. That's going to be to install our left and right projectors. our current projector sits right here, and that's approximately like 13 feet away from the screen. The new ones that we want to do are going to be approximately 8 foot away, and they're going to be kind of close to that speaker on each side of the speaker up against the ceiling. So it's not like it's going to, it's not going to look bad. We shouldn't have anything hanging down, but that's what we want to do. Phase 6, we want to bring the PC and monitors upstairs, move the amp upstairs, move the soundboard, and start using ProPresenter. Phase 7, we want to remove the old soundboard, install the new soundboard. We have broken this up into phases for 2 reasons. 1, cost. 2, there's only so much of me and there's only so much of Weston. And unless we have some other people that know how to move some stuff, it's going to have to just be broken up into time that we have. Just doing the screens alone will take us probably a good portion of a Saturday to just do those and do them right. So the soundboard and the new soundboard during that phase, that's where we will start getting all the sound check done, things like that, and that's where we will stop using the one and go to the other. Just going from that and getting it all plugged in, that's probably an entire day. So that's another thing. Phase 8, we want to install a new light board through a computer, so there won't actually be levers or anything like that. It'll all be done. We will also be installing a touch screen for the light control. Add MIDI connectors to connect ProPresenter. So this is going to be a neat little thing that we want to get to, and it'll all be included in this process. So if we have a background of a blue background with white text, for example, on our music, little by little, you won't even notice it, the lights on the outside of the stage will match the background of our singing. It'll just do it. It'll be really cool. So if the next song has a red background, it'll slowly go into a soft red. So it just kind of changes the atmosphere and kind of blends everything together. Red is
Before you go on,
Yep.
like if you do phase 6,
Yep.
timber it at phase 6,
Yeah.
and we don't have a new soundboard yet because we haven't got to 7 yet,
Yeah.
can we still do all of that above that with our old soundboard?
Yes. Yeah. Because we haven't got to the split tracks at that point in time. We can't do the split tracks until we get to we would do the split tracks around the same time as the soundboard. So, good question. We also want to add a couple more lights, and those lights are not expensive. These lights up here that we put up that do the colors, those were, I think that they were like $100 a piece, maybe $70 a piece. They're very, very inexpensive. We would just do that to be able to fill in the gaps that these stage lights are not producing for us. We want to replace the old streaming PC with a new one. The streaming PC that we got was used. It's not anything fancy, but we wanted to get at least 5-year, 6-year newer computer or so. As you can see, the cost on that there's not a really big cost to that. At that point in time, we're going to bring the streaming PC upstairs. We want to add a secondary camera. Right now, we have 1 camera. We did have 2 during COVID. Both of those died. We replaced one of them, and we really need to replace another one. This one, we want to have 2. This one right here is sometimes failing to react. If we tell it to zoom in, sometimes it zooms in, sometimes it doesn't. If we tell it to move left and right, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So we want to try to get that. Phase 11, we want to remove the old booth. I have no idea what's underneath there. The carpet probably looks a lot cleaner, because it's just sat there since the new carpet's been there. So other than that, and in phase 12, we will install a remote amp button and a remote light controller, which is what we talked about here in this back corner. Let's see here. So what I did is for you guys to go through and read at whenever you want to. Each phase is brought out into details on why we want to do each one of those phases. So I'm going to skip to the very back because I kind of went over all of those. And additional information, we talk about the some technology that we talked about. The Pro Presenter, what that is, the ETC Nomad, it's a PC-based lighting software, and the DMX wall controller and sound on-off wall switch. So it's a lot, I realize. That total, I think, is like $13,750. We're kind of thinking that we should budget for about $15,000. If we wait a year, that number is probably going to be closer to $16,000, $17,000 or so. So just know that going into it. We broke it down into manageable steps, we believe, on what we can do. So does anybody have questions? Okay.
So let's just say that we don't like this way you envision. What kind of time span are we looking at?
If we want to do which part, like,
The way you envision this thing,
yep.
if you follow it the way you kind of envision it, what would the time span be? When we start and when we finish it?
Like if all the money was available right now? Or, okay, so pretending that, yeah, as we go. I would anticipate everything being done in 6 months. I mean, how long will it take to knock out a thing in the wall? I don't know. I mean, it'll probably take longer to do prep work to make sure that the drywall dust doesn't come down than it will to actually cut a hole in the wall. So that's probably what I would say. Conservatively, I would like to be done with it before summer, if we had the money, because summertime for our family is extremely busy, just like everybody else. We live inside for 9 months out of the year, and we get 3 months to be outside. So, so that was a good question.
But when we take these panels down and cut that hole in the wall, we're probably going to have to paint that whole wall.
It's possible, yeah. Yeah, unless we can get it to touch up really good. Somebody else over here had a question? Yep.
So I used to work at Daylight Screening Sports, so
Yep. I would only choose daylight. I would prefer to do the silver. It's actually got silver built into the screen. It helps for handling outside daylight. It'll help that. We'll probably do a metal. There'll probably be a metal frame. Yeah, that's kind of what we're thinking. So, but there's lots of options. I just figure with the metal, then it'll make it a little bit easier to touch that, and so that's good. Anybody else?
I don't want to be a Debbie Downer,
Uh-huh.
but we can't get people to pick songs out of books and out of the list that these
Yep.
people now. Do we have a list that somebody could just pick songs? Or does it have to be a team that does it, that can go into the computer, that can pick these off the computer?
So, if we start utilizing split tracks, you can literally go to multitracks.com and choose whatever song,
So you can actually pick from.
and you can listen to it right there on the website. So if we go that route, there is, believe it or not, there is another company that it's called Loop Community, and they're creating loop tracks. And believe it or not, I was his first employer, and he was from Syracuse. He was from Vineyard Church, and now he started his own company. That's what they do. But the song selection is not there yet, so I don't know if that's the route to go. Currently, we do have a list. Yes. Right. Because there's been a couple of them we haven't been able to locate.
Right, exactly.
So,
Yes, we do have a list, and maybe a great list.
yep, we have a good list. Yep.
And then we, picking out songs, we also need to see who's going to sing and who wants to sing what. And, I'm not playing piano every Sunday, but now it's available. So, picking out the songs is the key.
It is.
Not all songs on the list actually are singable.
Correct. Yes. And that's why we definitely need to start doing practices on a,
He's someone that loves music or
yeah,
someone that loves to
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yes, Terry.
What's the game plan for painkillers?
I don't know. I know that we have to do something. I know that they authorize us to replace the main PC. We really don't want to install Media Shout on the new PC because that'll require us to buy a new version of Media Shout. And I hate to throw money out the door if we're ultimately going to be using ProPresenter because then we're buying two pieces of software. So we do have the other PC. We just have to buy the video card, and it just honestly I haven't had time to. We know which video card we're going to do. We just haven't had time to do it. So, but I don't know that answer. I really don't. That's something that I think the Ed Council and congregation is going to have to decide. So, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't want to come to this and say, okay, we want to spend $15,000 and be like, why do we need to spend $15,000? And that way, everybody that was interested, they could hear why we need to spend the money. So. Yep. I think it was about $5,000. That sounds about right. Yeah. It was about $5,000. The last time we did it for the furnace. Yeah. It was. Yep. So.
You said that there's only so much of you and there's only so much left.
Right.
And you basically just have the tiny back.
Right.
So is there any place for people to help that don't know anything about tech?
I am sure that there are some people in this room that could bust out this wall and build a platform and build stuff that I don't need to do. Can I do it? I absolutely know how to do all of that. Do I have time to do that and do the tech? Preferably not. No. No.
So
There are definitely opportunities for some people to help. Yes. Do we have opportunities to even hang the screens? Absolutely. That is not something you have to know anything tech about. You open up the box, you read the directions, you get wall mollies, and you mount it into the wall. So that can definitely be done by. We would just make sure that everything is measured off. I mean, right now they're symmetrically at the right angle where they need to be, but I mean, within a half an inch. So, what other questions? Anything? Yes, Joe.
When you open the top thing up there,
Yep.
Where will the projection be up here on the wall?
So we believe that this will stay the exact same spot, and we will open it up on this side over here, on the right. So. So no. So this projector aims backwards, and that's going to stay. Now, how long this projector itself will last, we don't know. We might be able to utilize this projector for back here if that happens. The new projectors will be mounted somewhere right around this vicinity. I mean, it's called a throw distance, and it's a specific measurement away from the screen. So, yes, ma'am.
So I see a lot of churches that when they have it up there,
Uh-huh.
it's typically open.
Yep.
Is that your
Yep. It's going to be open. Yep. If structurally, I believe that there's some main supports here, but I would probably put a header, and I would probably make it about 12 foot across. That's if I was doing it all the way myself. That's probably what I would do, because that way it's bigger. Yes, ma'am. It does. It does. Yes, it does. But we didn't put in here, but I believe that the church should invest in some shelving units and things like that. And we can even buy that stuff used. There's gigantic amounts of that stuff at like auction sites and that's something that other people in the church can help to do. Like there's the Office Barn over there on 33. They sell that kind of stuff all the time. And they would even probably donate some of the stuff if you'd ask them. So there's some of that type of stuff. So, but don't get rid of the green carpet because that's my favorite. Yes?
This technology that we're getting,
Yep.
and as fast as technology changes,
Yep.
how long do you think this will be current technology?
So the projectors that we're going to get are not like high-end projectors because that technology changes all the time. I mean, you can't even buy this projector anymore, and it's the newest projector that we have. The media, the software that we're going to run, the computer's probably going to last us about 5 years or so to keep up with everything that we're doing. Especially if we continue to use split tracks, utilizing the same music choices that we do, it should stay for quite a while. But as you know, when the smartphones come out with a new update, then all of a sudden every time your phone updates, it gets slower and slower and slower. Well, they do that on purpose. So.
And you're not talking like, okay, we're going to be doing this every 5 years.
No. And that's what we need to do is be a little bit more fluid with that stuff little by little. Yeah.
Well, see, the problem is that the light system and soundboard and everything else was all done when we remodeled the whole sanctuary.
Yep.
Does anybody remember when we did that? I couldn't find any records in there.
Yeah. So it's a while. The light board that we have, according to YouTube and every video that we have watched, is the hardest to program and use of all of the light boards out there in the industry. I don't know why we have it. I don't know if it was cheap or not, but it's one of the worst. And so we do have a special one. But if anybody's ever picked up that light board, there are two tiny little wires hanging out the back of it, and they are going to come out someday. And it's only a matter of time, and then those lights aren't going to work at all. So, any other questions? Yes.
Is this transition expected to go a little smoother than like the prayer chain? Because the prayer chain is still not.
So we can talk about the prayer chain and what the problem is with the prayer chain and why we want to utilize the prayer chain, what we're doing now. So it boils down to 120 character limit. When some of the things are getting posted in the prayer chain system, they're putting over 120 characters in. And depending on your carrier, when I say your carrier, I have AT&T, somebody else might have Verizon, somebody else might have something else. They have limits on what they will receive. Some of them will receive over that 120. Other ones will split it up into several text messages. Others will just be one gigantic thing. But if we want it to go through to everybody, it has to be 120 characters or less, and it will go through. What's that? Yeah, Remind was even less. Yes. So Remind as far as a management standpoint is very difficult to do. I was trying to go in and just delete people that, for example, Matt Price was still on the prayer chain. Matt Price does not need to be on the prayer chain anymore. And he was still on there. And along with probably about 15 other people that really shouldn't be on there. And so I was having a difficult time just trying to go in there and do that. And I was throwing fits galore because it wasn't made for that type of thing. So we want to utilize Icon because it's already included in the package that we're paying for. And rather than going to something else, kind of just defeats the purpose. So what it boils down to is just Christy knows now that it's a 120 character limit. And Julia, when she gets back into it, she'll also know that that's the problem that we've run into is that, yeah. Yeah. Right. Yep. It was cutting it off for some carriers. Yeah. 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 Right. So that's what that is. So hopefully, yes.
You just learned to condense when you put a prayer chain on.
Yes.
That's your limit.
It's your limit. That's exactly right. Exactly right. Right now it's Julia or Christy. Anita, yes.
We discussed this a little bit at council, and EMM is going to kind of look into the prayer chain, so we have it on our list of, kind of a little bit more, maybe tweak it just a little bit or streamline it a little bit. So it's on the agenda for EMM.
Could we get Christy's number published? Or
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
maybe stick it in the bulletin like mine was?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's fine. Absolutely. Understand. Yeah. What other questions you guys have? What's that? Well, it depends if the church goes for it, then it'd be about 6 months. That would be on the high side. That's what I would venture to be the high side. No, thank you. Thank you. Well, Weston's done a lot of this too, so he's done a lot. So, okay, so you guys have this. Feel free to, if you have questions or specifics, you didn't want to feel comfortable asking in front of everybody else, ask me, message me, whatever it is. We'll be happy to explain it the best we can. But yes, if anybody is interested in helping out, we would greatly appreciate it. And especially when we go to actually do all this work, if there's somebody that wants to tackle putting the hole in the wall and cleaning all that up, that is going to be a huge blessing, because that's something that I don't have time to do. It's a lot. So, anything else? Yeah, Terry?
One other, a little bit backtracking in a minute. If anyone's interested in picking out songs, let me know. I have the list,
Yep, she does.
so I can give it to you.
I can pick out songs, and I just need to know who I need to get them to.
Well, that's the problem. We don't have a singer.
Yeah. So at this very point, at this very moment, Weston or myself. So you can just send me. You can text me. You can do it on Facebook. Yep, either one. You can give them to me, and then I'll get them to Weston, because I won't be here next Sunday, but Weston will be. So.
The only problem with that, and this is why we need to meet as a group, if we're going to have a group. Because Joe gets up there, sorry Joe, I'm just going to use you. You get up there and you like certain songs. Stu gets up there and he doesn't like the piano stuff. He wants the piano and whatever. So we have to be really careful knowing who's singing what we are singing before we just randomly pick
Yep.
songs out.
Agreed.
I'm sorry, this is negative Nelly speaking. Why are we catering to, like, I understand you like certain songs, whatever, but I sing songs sometimes I don't like, and I just do it. I don't think it's catering. It's just that people like certain, on my week, I like to sing. I know, but that's harder on whoever picks them out, or the group that picks them out, or
It's hard.
So,
It's hard.
yeah, so I'm saying, sometimes you gotta sing something you don't like.
That's why we need to have a worship team.
Yes, correct.
Worship team for the leader. If the team's not one person picking out songs, it's a team, and that's what we're doing right now. One person is responsible.
Right. Right.
And it's not, it's actually, it's not our job, but it's not an easy job.
And then I need to know who sings on what week, so I can figure that in. And,
Yeah.
I need the list, and
Bob said he's going to start singing.
okay, good.
He's here every week, so he's up.
Evangelism commission is the commission that the worship team falls into.
Okay.
I think that's something that we need to,
But it needs to be done next week, so I only have 5 days to get this around. Actually, I only have 3 days to get it to the Plikerds so that they can work on their end.
Yeah, because Weston usually tries to do some of the prep on Wednesdays if he's here, and then if not, then we come in on Saturday and do some of the prep.
Have an E&M meeting for 2 weeks.
Right.
So,
why don't the people singing just pick out their own songs? And if you know you're singing next week, why can't you pick out your own songs?
well,
I don't know.
You end up just singing the same song every week.
We've got a lot of questions, and we got a lot going on right now. I will volunteer to pick out songs until we have a evangelism mission, and the rest I will do that. I will get them
I am more than willing to be on that committee, absolutely. I will be honest, singing is not my thing, and I can't even name songs, so, you know, and I just can't do that. Right, right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Any other questions before we go? I really appreciate you guys. It's a little bit longer than I thought, but I feel like we accomplished something. So. Yep. Yep. Joe, did you have a question? Oh.
I'm just going to say, unless her plans have changed too, we get two choices of meat. And it was before ham, chicken, steak, or turkey, and I ruled out turkey. I'll add enough of that later. So chicken, ham, or steak. And the steak is
Steak and chicken? Yeah, I bet you it is Salisbury steak. I'm sure that's what it is.